This week in the business of tech, Gartner's 4 predictions for cybersecurity, Roe v. Wade's impact on IT services, things are weird, say small business owners, Microsoft backs off on an unpopular program change, maybe things aren't so bad in insurance this year, and the Q2 2022 Diversity Report. All these stories and more. Hit those like, subscribe, and the notification button, and help us pay the bills. And here are this week's stories. I managed to go last week without talking much about security. Well, it's catching up with us, and there's a lot to talk about. Let's start with the new report from the Government Accountability Office, which calls for a government assessment of whether a federal cyber insurance option is needed. Why? The increasing withdrawal of private insurance companies from covering damages from major cyber attacks, which the report says leaves American businesses facing catastrophic financial loss unless another insurance model can be found. In a separate report, GAO told the Pentagon that of 25 IT programs it reviewed, only 15 had department-approved cybersecurity strategies, and just 10 had submitted a systems security plan for information and communication technology supply chain risk management. Clean up your stuff. CISA warned that there are still hackers using Log4Shell and system patching is required. The notice was specific to VMware's Horizon and Unified Access Gateway server, although it's solid advice broadly. In case you didn't have enough to worry about, Trend Micro's new report warns that email is still a major vector for attacks, with malware delivered to email accounts rising 196% in 2021 year over year. Some 74.1% of all threats blocked by Trend Micro in 2021 were email threats versus its products that blocked malware delivered over websites. Wired also had a piece on the theme, business email compromise poised to become the next great scourge of attacks. Rapid7 looked at double extortion ransomware attacks, specifically the types of data disclosed. Financial data was leaked most often at 63%, followed by customer and patient data at 48%. And 2 larger trends to look at. First, protocol with the headline, "There are too many security tools." The trend, with the market hot, there was a creation of tons of new startups. Now, with the market cooling, there is expected to be some consolidation, which is generally welcomed by customers, as there are too many tools. The other, Gartner, with 8 predictions for the next 4 years in cybersecurity. Here are 4 I picked through the lens of IT services. By 2023, government regulations requiring organizations to provide consumer privacy rights will cover 5 billion citizens and more than 70% of global GDP. By 2025, 30% of nation-states will pass legislation regulating ransomware payments, fines, and negotiations, up from less than 1% in 2021. 60% of organizations will embrace zero trust as a starting point for security by 2025. More than half will fail to realize the benefits. And by 2026, 50% of C-level executives will have performance requirements related to risk built into their employment contracts. Why do we care? That last prediction, those performance requirements will extend to customer relationships with their providers. Those predictions, however, speak to services companies' focus areas. IT has fewer tools and a lot more regulation and process management. Be the firm that helps navigate privacy regulations, manage the legislation and requirements around security, and ensure that your customers are not in the group who fail to see any benefits from zero trust. This is all the roadmap for real value in security. It's not in the tools. The major news story from Friday through the weekend was the Supreme Court effectively overturning the right to illegal abortion, which was established by Roe v. Wade in 1973. 6 in 10 U.S. adults, at 61%, believe the practice should be legal in all or most cases, according to a survey from the Pew Research Center. 37% of Americans think the procedure should be illegal in most or all cases. Let's cover some of the fallout. Several tech companies are implementing benefits such as increased healthcare and travel benefits. That includes Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Salesforce, Google, AT&T, and Comcast. In a Gartner survey, 6 in 10 firms said they would offer nothing new if Roe v. Wade were overturned. Beyond that are concerns over the use of data, with abortion becoming illegal in those states with trigger bans, 13 of them, and Texas's law allowing anyone to sue for aiding and abetting abortion. User data could be used to track down providers, fundraising, activists, or even those simply helping. This is one of the reasons why employee benefits are being leveraged. There's now an expectation that data collection is to be reviewed. Why do we care? It's my observation that 4 major IT services-focused publications did not mention the story as of this publication. That's a dangerous blind spot, in my opinion, as many of these concerns should be top of mind right now, with 2 specific areas to focus on for IT services companies. I will note that small and mid-sized companies are wary of the legal risks of speaking out. That's right, from benefits consultants. I've linked to a Bloomberg Law piece on some of the risks. First, let's talk about the leadership opportunity. I have strong opinions in this space, and if I had employees, I'd be very clear with my team about them. Why? The number of stories I've reported on where younger employees put a value on the organization's values. Sure, 6 in 10 firms are doing nothing, and that says 4 in 10 are, which is a competitive differentiator for those who value that. Leaders don't have to yell to the winds about their feelings to show leadership. Second, there's a specific data need here. I've long spoken about data management as an area for IT services firms to focus on. Here is a concrete example of that growing need. Expect this to get more complex, and thus an area customers will need more help in. The FTC has ordered Harley-Davidson and generator company MWE Investments to stop voiding customer warranties over repairs. The order covers Harley-Davidson's motorcycles, Westinghouse outdoor generators, and related equipment, which MWE manufactures. Both companies must remove illegal terms in their warranties that discourage customers from using third-party parts and repair services. The warranties must inform consumers that they can take third-party repairs without affecting their coverage. They also have to proactively notify buyers of their rights and order officially authorized dealers to avoid deceiving customers about the warranty or promoting official parts over third-party ones. This quoting from The Verge. The FTC has been busy. They settled with online merchandiser Cafe Press over cybersecurity. The company was under allegations that it failed to secure consumers' sensitive personal data, including social security numbers, and covered up a major data breach. The Commission's order requires the company to bolster its data security and its former owner to pay $500,000 to compensate small businesses. On top of that, the company has been ordered to replace inadequate authentication measures with multi-factor authentication methods, minimize the amount of data they collect and retain, encrypt social security numbers, and have a third party assess their information security programs and provide the Commission with a redacted copy of that assessment suitable for public disclosure. And let's catch up with the American Data Privacy and Protection Act. Last week I was excited, and this week it's looking a little grimmer. Let's quote The Verge on what happened. Subcommittee members in the House advanced the bill on Thursday with a unanimous vote, even though a couple of Republicans decided a few last-minute changes were needed. Those proposals were ultimately tabled, but hinted that the Republicans were potential deal-breaking votes down the line. The bill is now headed for a full vote by the Energy and Commerce Committee next month, and could see the House floor before August. If it passes there, it faces at least one powerful Senate Democrat, who has made it known she'll let it die on the vine. Why do we care? The FTC is flexing its muscles, and I think that matters. Policy enforcement is happening, so don't be dismissive of it. I've been covering legislation consistently, and here's why. Not all of it will hit, it seems, so filtering everything is an ever-growing part of a provider's job. So while I'm talking legislation, I have to note this exciting experiment by Senator Cynthia Lummis. She posted her cryptocurrency regulation bill to GitHub. There were several comments and pull requests. Some proposed actual meaningful additions to the bill. That said, as you might guess, there's much trolling going on. Why do we care? The internet is going to troll, but I think this is going to the people. It's a virtual town square, and the trolls can be ignored. My take is that this should be celebrated, and that there's value in being transparent and leveraging tools, and going where the expertise is. There are lessons in that. In the blocking and tackling category, Microsoft is gearing up its reminders of the end of support for Windows 8.1, which comes on January 10th, 2023. Notifications start next month. Why do we care? This is very tactical, but for providers, your window on Windows 8.1 is closing. If you have customers using it, you should be aware of that. So while I might be pessimistic, it seems many providers are not. Research from Agilitas IT Solutions found that confidence among the technology channel was high, with many feeling they were in an excellent position to meet customer requirements. The Technology Channel Confidence Index rates the current sense of the technology channel with both the UK and a global view, and it attempts to rate it. The Channel Confidence Index was 7.6 in 2020, 7.4 in 2021, and 7.8 in 2022. While we're talking about the market, Synergy Research out with public cloud service and infrastructure markets data. Revenues surged 26% during the first quarter of 2022. The biggest growth? Infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, with revenues jumping 36%. Why do we care? Don't let it be said I'm only looking for data sources that agree with me. Here's my concern. If providers get overconfident and the economy goes sideways, they may not be well prepared for more challenging times. If your business is strong, with sound financials and a bank account with reserves to handle possible dips, go forth and conquer on an individual business basis. Check your customers to ensure they're in the same state. If not, now is most certainly the time to shore up your business. Let's call out a specific FBI warning. Cybercriminals are using Americans' stolen, personally identifiable information and deepfakes to apply for remote work positions. The public service announcement, published on the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center today, adds that the deepfakes used to apply for positions in online interviews include convincingly altered videos or images. The targeted remote jobs include positions in the tech field that would allow the malicious actors to gain access to company and customer confidential information after being hired. Why do we care? Do you know who would be in the tech field that allows actors to gain access to company and customer confidential information after being hired? MSPs and IT services companies. This is a clever scheme. Get hired remotely, get them in the door, and then open the back doors. An attacker likely doesn't even need long. So first, be aware, and second, ensure your hiring and onboarding process protects against this. Remember Huntress, the cyber startup that helps MSPs detect footholes and persistent malware? If you haven't checked out their platform recently, it might be time for a fresh look. Huntress has added a ton of new features and functionality to its managed security platform, including EDR capabilities, a powerful next-gen antivirus, ransomware detection, and much, much more. They're on a mission to secure the 99%, those small and mid-market businesses, via IT services companies. Visit huntress.com/MSP Radio to learn more, and more about how they can help you grow your cybersecurity practice, or start a free 21-day trial. Foundry's 2022 Future of Work study indicates that most IT decision makers believe hybrid work will be the new norm as businesses start to encourage staff back to the office. 94% of organizations have implemented some hybrid work structure, while 72% thought there was now a more positive attitude to hybrid work. 69% of IT decision makers believe that the work from home trend is impacting how they plan for overall office space, IT staffing, and general staffing. And interestingly, American workers really like it. 58% of US workers at 92 million people say they can work remotely at least part-time. 35% meanwhile can work all the time remotely. 87% of workers who can work remotely do so at least one day a week. Men at 61% are more likely to be offered remote work compared to women at 52%. However, women, given the chance to work remotely, do so slightly more often, 3.1 days per week on average, rather than men at 2.9 days. Older workers who can work remotely tend to do so more often than their younger colleagues. Those 55 to 64 work an average of 3.1 days remotely, compared to 2.5 for those 18 to 24. 75% of people making $150,000 or more can work remotely, compared to just 47% of those making between $25,000 and $50,000. This from a McKinsey survey. And from Core Signal, remote work availability is a bit down. 15% of job postings in North America offered remote work in 2020. That number dipped in early 2021, peaked later that year, and now appears to be on a steady downward path. Why do we care? We're settling in with a more dynamic workplace. The reason to care is less about the specific mechanics of how your office runs and more about the data implications. Combine this story with the previous one. Businesses had better change their hiring processes to accommodate the change. That said, there's complexity here, and thus, areas to help customers. Like catnip, I couldn't resist the headline. For small biz owners, things are weird. Let's dive into Axios on this one. Inflation worries are soaring among small business owners, overtaking COVID-19 as a top concern. According to a survey released by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, these owners say that business is good right now. The survey showed that owners see relatively good business conditions. 2/3 anticipate revenue going up over the next year. And 43% intend to hire more staff. That's up from 37% who said so during Q1 2022. Still, many are worried about the overall economy. After all, most haven't lived through a time of rising prices like this. On the tech side, be aware that several industry experts are predicting that the chip shortage will not improve this calendar year. Gartner is projecting that the semiconductor supply chain will, quote, step into the normal zone by third quarter of 22, and normal inventory across major chip categories is expected by the second quarter of 2023. Deloitte agrees, but Intel and the U.S. Commerce Secretary predict the shortage will extend into 2024. Why do we care? This survey summarized something I've been considering. The conditions are weird. There's both hesitancy and optimism. There are warning signs and some clouds on the horizon. This survey validated my impressions with data. So, plan for the worst and hope for the best. Those who plan and execute should be just fine. Microsoft has announced it won't block automatic renewals of monthly cloud services accounts for those with an older plan overseen by cloud solutions provider partners. The blocking of automatic renewals of these older or legacy CSP subscriptions was supposed to occur on July 11, 2022, according to Microsoft's earlier plans to shift customers to its new Commerce Experience subscription model. However, these automatic renewals for the older account types are now extended indefinitely, per a report spotted by the Register. Microsoft has already blocked customers from signing up for new CSP subscriptions with the older option of making monthly payments. This block happened on March 10, 2022, and it's still in effect. Thanks to Redmond Channel Partner for this story. Why do we care? There's a lot of partner pushback here, and this outcome could be because of that. I'm not sure I'm comfortable recommending partners assume this is the new normal, but I would say it's clear there's now some wiggle room. Plan accordingly. And on the insurance front, 2 updates on cyber insurance. First, new data from the industry on rates. In 2021, rates increased approximately 92% year over year. This year, it appears there's an increasing sense of cautious optimism that the sharp rate increases are leveling off as premiums exceed losses and businesses lower their cyber coverage limits. The average U.S. cyber price per million, which is used to measure insurance rate increases, peaked in December 2021 and has been slowly declining through 2022, according to the report from Marsh. Although cyber insurance premiums are still increasing, they're doing so at a far lower rate than in 2021. The report also found that more businesses are seeking lower cyber coverage limits, likely due to soaring rate increases over the last 2 years. Less than 10% of Marsh clients increased their cyber coverage during the first 4 months of 2022, compared with more than 20% of clients who decreased their limits. Additionally, and unrelated, Republican Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat from Michigan, urged critical infrastructure entities to consider getting cyber insurance in preparation for ransomware attacks, even as she acknowledged that there might be challenging for those with fewer resources. Quote, "We know that small and medium-sized businesses, small and medium-sized governments, don't have firms to take care of everything for them," she said, opening a hearing of the House Homeland Security Committee's panel on intelligence and counterterrorism on Tuesday. Not everyone can afford cybersecurity insurance, which is something I encourage all leaders to look into. Why do we care? I'll note, I don't think 92% rate increases are sustainable year over year anyway, so something had to change. There's another factor here too, getting lower levels of coverage. The number of software companies getting involved is increasing. I noted 2 new players who are just a combination of software and insurance just this week. Besides vindicating my 2022 prediction on the space, I'm expecting a bit more upheaval to come. At least there will be coverage options. As Q2 finishes up, time for the Q2 diversity report from this podcast. Each quarter, we measure the leadership makeups of the teams delivering IT services. This quarter, monitoring 300 companies, the report tracks 3,353 humans, slightly up from last quarter. Identified on each organization's website, they are then classified as white and then non-white, as well as specifically black. Additionally, they are classified as male or female. For Q2 2022, 89.20% of those tracked are white, up from 87.73% last quarter and 86.18% the quarter before. 79.51% male, down from 79.75% last quarter and 80.32% the quarter before. The tracked group has gotten more white and more female. Other notable trend. The total percentage of black leadership is up 0.03%. This number has hovered between 1.39% and 2.02% for 6 quarters. As noted prior, the total percentage of female leadership is also up, although over 6 quarters of change, the increase is from 19.29% to 20.46%. That said, Fortune 1000 companies are improving more, from 21.47% 6 quarters ago to 25.66% now. Why do we care? I'm a bit of a broken record here. Despite much talk, there's not much movement. I will be quiet and let the data speak for itself. I couldn't resist this leadership story when shared by a listener. Diving into a Harvard Business Review piece, Inc. examined the change in Microsoft's approach to employees. A single fundamental word change. The company uses the word thriving to measure employee productivity and well-being. Rather than the previous word engagement, the company is shifting to ensure employees thrive. Why do we care? It's a very intentional change. That's specific on the way the Microsoft leadership wants to go forward, and they're thinking much more holistically about people thriving. There's a lesson here. Surveying development professionals, managers, and senior leaders across 20 industries, Linode and Akamai found that more than half of the study's respondents, at 52%, use credit cards to pay for cloud services, and 48% want to use this payment method. 47% employ formal contracts and RFPs. Alternative payments such as UPI, PayPal, Venmo, and cryptocurrencies account for 1/4 at 25% of payments. Another 36% would like to purchase more cloud services this way. At this point, 9% actually purchase cloud services with cryptocurrencies, and 16% want to do so this way. Smaller companies are more likely to be buying cloud services via credit cards. 71% of the smallest enterprises in the survey, those with fewer than 50 employees, use credit cards. This compares to 24% of larger companies with 5,000 to 10,000 employees. Why do we care? The longer I thought about this story, the more I considered it validation for my comments on e-commerce around the services space. So, are you offering credit card services? Are you delivering your services so that customers can order and interact entirely electronically? Do you provide online services through an online store? I've done several pieces on this before, and you can revisit them at youtube.com/msbradio, and purchasing cloud services via credit card feels like a validation of this strategy. IT services as a whole should be consumable in this way. Thanks for your time and attention. Time is a finite resource, and I really value you giving me some of yours. If you like this video, you can let me know with a like of the video, and even more valuable, hitting the subscription button. My content is all free, and I use metrics like subscriptions to pay the bills, so it has real value. The content here is produced under ethics guidelines posted at businessof.tech. If you're interested in more content like this, you can get access to content early via our Patreon at patreon.com/mspradio. It's our give what you want model where you set the value of what you think the content is worth. If you like this podcast, you can catch it daily as the 5-minute news and commentary show, The Business of Tech, available on all your favorite podcatchers with links at businessof.tech. Just hit that big blue button to subscribe. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen, and I really value the interaction. If you want to say something in the comments, I do respond and watch all that, and I look forward to talking to you next time.